Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar from Oxpal, which is a midlink that connects Palestinian medical students with Oxford University. I'm Luay Qannou, a medical student at the Islamic University of Gaza. Today, I will talk about the elective course, what is elective, and why you should do elective, and how to get your elective. And to be more specific, I will talk about elective in the UK, especially in Oxford, and I will explain how to apply and clarify issues related to the visa, accommodation, and expenses. And finally, I will mention some of what I've learned from my experience. By the end of this webinar, I expect you to be able to get elective in any area of the world. So what's elective? It's kind of clinical experience in which you can do outside or inside your country in any hospital or in any department you are interested in. So elective is a hands-on experience, which means you can take history, you can examine patient, you can take a blood, or even you can scrub in and enter the theater, and which is opposite to the observership or the clinical attachment, which is a hands-off experience, in which you can do what I mentioned earlier, but in this case you shadow the doctor, you are only observer, and you should be familiar with these two terms, elective and observership, when you are applying for an elective or for a clinical experience. So why elective? For many reasons, to gain medical knowledge and skills, to know new healthcare system, and to be competitive in the future when you are applying for a graduate program or a scholarship, and also to make new friends and to visit new places and to exchange culture and improve your English. So, how to get your electives? Actually, there are two ways, the formal way and the informal way. Um, the formal way by which you can contact the university itself, just type on the Google search bar the name of the university that you are interested in, followed by medical elective course. For example, you can type Oxford University Medical Elective Course, Cambridge University Medical Elective Course, Harvard University Medical Elective Course, whatever you want, followed by medical elective course. By this way, you usually get an elective, not an observership, but it requires a lot of documents and maybe they charge you, but fortunately, Oxford doesn't charge you. And the other way, which is the informal way, in which you emailing many and hundreds of doctors directly, just send emails, and by this way, you usually got an observership, not an elective course. The advantage of this way, it's faster and requires less documents, and maybe and mostly they don't charge you. And this is an example of the informal way that I used to get an elective in Jordan. I emailed a rheumatologist there called Dr. Fatima Nuamat, and she asked me to contact this person, Dr. Fida, and I did, and so on. And maybe someone would ask me from where I get her email. Actually, it's easy. You can get emails from PubMed, research articles, or even from the hospital's website itself. And this is the article which I found in PubMed, and here is the email which I get, and I emailed Dr. Fatima and get my elective in Jordan. And this is an example for the formal way. Just type in Google search bar the name of the university, followed by medical elective course. You can type any university you are interested in. And in our case, it's Oxford University. By clicking the first link, it will take you to this web page, and here you can find all the instructions and requirements regarding the elective. Even it's in Oxford or in other hospital or in other universities. And here is the link for this Oxford University elective program, this web page. And they will require some documents such as filling out an application forms. It's about 9 to 10 pages, and you have to provide your CV, two recommendation letters, and four photographs. After that, you submit your application to Oxford University via DHL or mail. But you should keep in mind you are applying 2 years earlier in case of Oxford University. For example, I wanted to do my elective in July and August 2022, so I applied in September 2020. This is in case of Oxford University, but in other universities it could be 6 months. Uh, for 2 to 4 months after submitting your application, you will receive a decision on your application by email. Usually it's from Caroline. She's the elective coordinator at Oxford University. In this email, she told me I've been accepted into Oxford University elective program. Congrats to me. And she would contact me by summer for further documents and information. After that, more documents are required, such as application for a university card, security form, and you have to provide a COVID-19 vaccination certificate. You can get from the Ministry of Health, and occupational health clearance, which is an online form. You have to fill it out, and you have also to provide a lab results that show you are free of hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV with certificate of vaccination. You can get it from the Ministry of Health. Also, you have to provide a certificate of good conduct. You can get it from the Ministry of Interior, and medical insurance from any insurance company. After that, you will get this offer letter. Even you use the formal way or the informal way, even it's Oxford or another university or another hospital, at the end you will have an offer letter which contains your name and your elective dates and which department and which hospital. And this offer letter is very important for your visa application. Actually, it's not hard to get an offer letter from the UK, but the most difficult part is being accepted in the visa application. So, talking about the visa, you have to apply before 3 months of your elective. For example, if your elective start in August, you have to apply in May. This is because it takes 3 to 6 weeks to make decision on your visa application, and the type of visa you should apply is a standard visitor visa, and here is the link for it. And after that, many of the students got rejected. And this is because they don't provide additional documents such as bank statements that shows enough money to cover your elective period, a sponsorship letter from a first degree relative in which they are able to support you and they are responsible for you during your elective period. And you also have to provide a pay slips or bank statements for your parents with evidence of their jobs. Also, you have to provide evidence of return. You can get it from your own university. It's a letter to the British Embassy that confirms that you are still a student at the university and you have to return to resume or to complete your study. And at the end, English language certificate. Actually, it could be anything. It's not mandatory to be IELTS or OET for the elective course, uh, and it depends. But here, for Oxford University and for the visa application, you can get a letter from your university that you are studying English and you can speak and understand English. That's enough. So you applied for the visa. 5 weeks later, you got your passport back and your visa application is accepted. So you now start looking for accommodation. Simply, you could ask the elective coordinator for the available options. I asked Caroline for hospital residency rooms, and she told me they are not available during that time. And she provided me with the accommodation manager at St. Hulda College, and I contact her and I booked an in suite, which is you have your own bedroom and your own bathroom, but with a shared kitchen. Also, you can looking at Spare Room, which is an online website, and you also can post in Facebook groups such as Oxford Housing Group for available accommodations. And this is Oxford, which I missed by the way, and this is Magdalen College, and this is the High Street, and here is the Botanic Garden, and there is the city center, and here is the Radcliffe Camera, which is the most popular place in Oxford. And here is the John Radcliffe Hospital, where my training was, and we call it GR. So regarding the expenses, you should keep in mind travel is expensive, and it costs, for example, I list here an estimated cost. For visa application, it's about £100, and for return flight, it depends and it varies from day to day. But for me, it was £550, and for accommodation, also it depends, but roughly it's about between 600 to £800. And for living expenses, for your meals and for your transportation, it costs about 300 to £400. So in total, it would cost you about £2,000 for 1 month elective. Uh, Here I put these two pictures to show you, because we are not familiar with these terms in suite and studio when you are applying for the accommodation, or when you are looking for accommodation. This is an in suite when you have your own room and your own desk and you have your own bathroom but with a shared kitchen. And this one, which is called studio, when you have your own bedroom, your own kitchen, and your own bathroom. Actually, I prefer the in suite room because I like to meet new people and to make new friends, especially who like eating and love eating. And regarding my elective, I've been accepted into emergency department, but for a very nice coincidence, the students start a course called ORTIM, which stands for Orthopedic Rheumatology, Trauma, and Emergency Medicine, by the time of my elective. So I have the choice, even to either to start or either to do my elective as usual or to be attached with ORTIM course with Oxford students, and I choose ORTIM course. It was astonishing experience, and I have to attend lectures with Oxford students, and do nursing and ambulance shifts. It was very amazing. And this is my supervisor, Dr. Neil Dawson. We played rugby, and it was a final match between Doctor's team and another team in Oxford. And thanks to the most professional player, they did lose. Okay, shame on me. So what I learned, the patient first, and the patient is at the center of care. It's all about communication. You have to communicate with the patient before taking history, after taking history, before examination, and after examination. You should share your thoughts and what are you thinking of with the patients, and what's your differential diagnosis and what's your plan. The patient should be engaged in the management process. Um, the quality, not the quantity. It doesn't matter how many patients you deal with per shift, but it's more important, does the patient receive the proper management? Does the patient take enough time? And I gained a new knowledge and I learned new skills. I became more acceptable person. I made new friends. I explored different cultures and different places. I tried new foods, and by the way, our food is the most delicious food in the world. and the English food is so bad. Yeah, this is the truth. And I became more independent. Now I can cook and wash, etc. And I improved my language. And at the end, we can be. It's not impossible. And if you have any questions, just type them or you feel free to contact me.